The Nintendo Direct earlier this week ended with a trailer for a full remake of Ocarina of Time. Well, calling it a trailer is a little bit generous. A teaser is probably the right term. It was less than 2 minutes long, most of which was shots of a tapestry retelling the legend of the hero of time. As for the game itself, we only see one scene. Link asleep in his treehouse right at the beginning of the game. We don't get to see how they're reimagining this game's world, dungeons, or narrative structure, and so outside of the fact that this game exists, much of the discussion online has been about the visuals and art style. So let's discuss them. Was this the right direction for Nintendo to take for this remake? I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think it looks great. And it seems like I'm not alone. I posted a poll on the community tab on my YouTube page to try and get an idea of how my audience is feeling. We do of course have to bear in mind that my audience is, funnily enough, Zelda fans, so this isn't really a fair or impartial poll, but still, out of almost 40,000 votes, around half of you said you're happy with the visuals, while only 7% said they're unhappy. The remaining 45% said that they were unsure, or waiting to see more before they form their opinion. Which is fair enough, we've only seen this, a gloomy, nighttime shot of Link asleep. But still, we've seen enough to get an idea. We can see what kind of style they're going for, even if we haven't yet had a proper look at how well they've pulled it off. They're not opting for a cel-shaded, anime-inspired approach like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, and it doesn't seem like this game will be as cartoonish, for lack of a better word, as Ocarina of Time's previous remake, the 3DS version from 2011, either. It seems to me that this game's art style most closely resembles that of Twilight Princess, stylized characters with more realistic environmental textures and lighting. Of course, the original version of Twilight Princess has arguably aged the worst out of all of the post-N64 3D Zelda games. But that's a symptom of aiming for some kind of realism on the GameCube and the Wii. With how powerful the Switch 2 is, able to run games like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I doubt this'll have the same issues. But still, the art style has drawn some criticism. Comparisons to Unreal Engine, etc. Whether or not you like the look of it so far is down to personal taste, but I've also seen a lot of people complaining that Ocarina of Time should never be made gritty or realistic because the original game wasn't. First, I don't really agree that this game is realistic. It's not GTA or Cyberpunk. While the environment certainly seems detailed, Link himself is absolutely still heavily stylized. He doesn't look like an actual human child. If anything, I agree more with the idea that this looks something like a Pixar movie. The environments look quote-unquote real, but the characters don't. Regardless, this would still place Ocarina of Time's remake closer to the realism end of the visual spectrum when it comes to the other Zelda games, far away from the heavily stylized Wind Waker or Skyward Sword or Breath of the Wild, and much closer, as I said, to Twilight Princess, and the original Ocarina of Time. This brings me to my second point. The original Ocarina of Time was explicitly designed this way, with the same stylized realism philosophy as Twilight Princess. In an Iwata Asks interview, Ocarina of Time enemy designer and Twilight Princess art director Satoru Takezawa describes Twilight Princess as continuing with the aesthetic style of Ocarina of Time, and claimed that they decided to place our emphasis on creating the palpable atmosphere that everyone liked so much about Ocarina of Time. And in an interview with Nintendo Power in 2005, Takezawa said that realism in Zelda isn't a first with The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. We did it in Ocarina of Time. So the idea of Ocarina of Time aiming for some kind of stylized realism isn't new. It was the original intention. And though its dated appearance might not seem like it, to me, and to many others who grew up playing the original version of Ocarina of Time, it did feel realistic. Walking through the back alleys of Castletown, looking up at the Temple of Time, clearly this game was originally designed to feel gritty and dark, like Hyrule is an actual, tangible place. Aiming for this art style, rather than a brighter look like the cel-shaded Wild era games, will hopefully recapture the same feelings we had playing the original version. My biggest criticism with the Ocarina of Time remake at this point is the reveal itself. I loved the atmospheric tapestry, but I can't help but feel like it was a mistake to only show one scene from the game itself, and this scene above all else. For comparison, this is how this scene looks in both the original and 3DS versions. It's not the best to gauge how the full game will look. Showing the title screen, or the Deku Tree, or, well, anything other than a gloomy treehouse in the middle of the night would have given us a much clearer look at how this game will be presented. Because Ocarina of Time isn't just doom and gloom. The darkness of the dungeons and the caves is contrasted with the bright, vibrant Hyrule Field, Kokiri Forest, Zora's River, or Desert Colossus in daytime. I'm sure these will look incredible in this style on a system as powerful as the Switch 2, but it does feel like a bit of a shame that we don't know for sure yet. Naturally, the art direction of the 2026 remake is being compared to the game's last remake on the 3DS. In many ways, this version captures the aesthetic of the original N64 game's key artwork, painted by the legendary Yusuke Nakano. And it's gorgeous. The characters look absolutely stunning, and the environments are rich and detailed. I've seen quite a few comments wondering why the remake isn't just continuing in this exact style, claiming that this artwork represents the original vision for the game. However, it's worth noting that this key artwork wasn't the starting point for Ocarina of Time's visuals, and was actually drawn after the fact. By Nakano's own account in the Art and Artifacts book, Nintendo had initially outsourced the promotional art to an external studio, and Nakano, unimpressed with the results, put himself forward instead. He painted a bust of Adult Link as a design proposal, working from Koizumi's existing 3D model, and when it got the thumbs up, he volunteered to do all of the artwork in that style. So while this art is iconic and unarguably beautiful, it wasn't the foundation for Ocarina of Time's visuals. The paintings were Nakano's interpretations of the game, which other artists involved have claimed was aiming for something more realistic. This makes the 3DS remaster a strange and quite interesting game of telephone. In 2011, Grezzo seemed to have rebuilt the game to match the paintings that were painted to match the game. Of course, this doesn't devalue the artwork or the 3DS version at all, and I only mention it in response to the people claiming that this is how the game was always meant to look. There are places where the 3DS game falls short for me. The bright colours and enhanced lighting strip away the atmosphere from some of the darker scenes, such as the Shadow Temple or the final confrontation with Ganon. This is where the original game's darker tone really works, and I hope the remake can strike something of a balance between the two versions, the vibrancy of the 3DS remake and the grittiness of the original. I don't want to repeat myself, but again, your opinion on this remake's art style is completely valid, whatever it is. And, of course, we haven't really seen enough of this game yet for anyone to have a concrete opinion. But what I will say is, I'm content to trust in the process. Zelda art styles have always had drastic shifts between games, to the point where, outside of the last decade or so with the Wild era games, the only real consistency has been the inconsistency. The Wind Waker, famously, was absolutely despised at first, but has gone on to be one of the most beloved games in the franchise, thanks in no small part to its timeless visuals. And the discussions surrounding the new look of the Hero of Time remind me of the reveal of the Hero of the Wilds all the way back at E3 2014. Breath of the Wilds, and by extension Tears of the Kingdom's, Link is now pretty universally beloved. But when he was first revealed, there was huge confusion and upset about his new appearance. Series producer Eiji Aonuma didn't help the matter, of course, and decided to add the confusing remark that no one explicitly said that was Link, a comment he later had to clarify was a joke. The point is, there are no bad-looking Zelda games. Every one of them is a work of art. Every one is designed to portray exactly what the Zelda team want it to portray. I'm more than confident that Ocarina of Time's remake will be absolutely stunning, and I'm really happy with the direction they've taken for this one. But what do you think? Are you happy with what you've seen so far, or not? Or are you waiting to see more before you form an opinion? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.